winner this weekend, going to be that Dusknoir on David's side. But we mentioned him as a player to watch. Liam Haliburton has been piloting this end Zoroark to and fro, pre-rotation, post-rotation. It got him his regional win, and I'm excited to see what tricks he has up his sleeve, because certainly, Ethan, this deck never stays the same.
And immediately a jump scare with Skorupi in the prizes. Okay, I see maybe a little bit too many Pokemon there. Too many friends shouting out in the prizes. 2 and Zorua as well. Not what you want to see, especially when trying to set up against Dragapult EX.
I think that Skorupi and the following Drapion from Perfect Order is going to be for something like a Crustle, because N Zoroark EX has had trouble in that matchup before. So Liam coming prepared for anything he may find, but still in those prizes, Ethan, I mean, 2 and Zorua down, I mean, it's going to require a little bit of setup to get things going. Nothing too crazy on David's side, though. So let's see how Liam wants to handle not having too many trades to work with.
As we hop into our 4th Swiss round, Liam starting a Mega Absol, and I believe that was just a pass from David over onto Liam's side now. We'll get things started with a Buddy Buddy Poffin getting the bad news that 2 of those Enzarua are in the prize cards.
Well, when you already have the Mega Absol in the active spot, if Liam is able to get a very early Claw of Darkness available, could be a nice way to get things going. There is a little bit of energy acceleration in this deck here, but I mean, no problem here for Liam. Going to be able to at least get the energy attachment and the Lily's Determination. No 2 Zorua seems pretty okay, as long as that Mega Absol could be clawing cards out of David's hand.
Excellent start, the energy attachment, getting Pokemon onto play and drawing cards. Nothing more you'd love to see than that in the Pokemon TCG. And we'll get 8 cards since he is still at 6 prizes left. See what else there is to be found. There's a secret box for the following turn, or potentially this turn, with that Badoo being in the active spot.
I mean, you can't ask for anything more if you're Liam, right? Has the End Zoroark ready to go and secret box, fresh 8 cards. And I like the way that Liam has kind of put his deck together to really kind of not just play End Zoroark, but play a plethora of dark attackers here. That Purloin is now going to hit the bench here, potentially, or just go in the hand as that fodder. But secret box, Ethan, that's being used very early.
Just there for that attack to initiate evil and grab Dark-type Pokemon. It acts as a sort of set-up Pokemon, so to say. In this case, though, Liam set up more than happy as is, does not need that help. We'll just grab some more Pokemon. That Air Balloon for the following turn. Buddy Buddy Poffin, but there's no more Zorua in the deck, so I have to wonder if there's maybe a different item card that Liam may choose to grab. Still going to go with that Buddy Buddy Poffin.
We'll be able to also use the Ends PP up, and there's a plethora of cards in this list to follow suit as well. Speaking of, I think the biggest card I think that is pretty new is going to be this Transformation Tome that Liam is playing. I know a lot of End Zoroark players were really kind of talking about it, and it's a nice throwback to a card that we had in ways past, of that Thornton being able to switch a Pokemon in the discard with a basic Pokemon. So I think that's kind of what Liam is going for here, trying to cherry pick which dark attackers he really wants to work with.
And immediately threatening pressure with the secret box, grabbing that Janine secret art to power up this Mega Absol on the following turn. David immediately put under pressure. No Pokemon in play, relying off these 8 cards to find Dreepy, find Duskull, and try and slowly build this board up.
Thing is, I mean, 8 cards, you're guaranteed to see something, right? I mean, we've seen worse. Does find a Poképad and an Ultra Ball, but I don't believe a Buddy Buddy Poffin to go alongside here, Ethan. So it is just going to have to be working with slim pickings, as honestly, Liam has everything he needs probably in hand now.
Set up now, the disruption effect of Itchy Pollen may only last for this first turn, as pivoting back into multiple attacks with this Pokemon is so difficult, with there being no Latias EX, no way to pivot in and out, and a use of those resources that could be so valuable. We'll see this first Dreepy grabbed, as David will check the deck to see what is available. We'll note there is that 1/1 Dusclops line prized, so a little bit less in terms of attacking pressure, or rather damage pressure, thanks to that Curse Blast ability. There's Dreepy number 1, and now has to decide if he's able to play this Ultra Ball and if the resources in his hand pend him being able to discard stuff. It feels like a necessary evil to get this second Dreepy down just in case your opponent has some combination to pressure this bench-only Dreepy in play.
I'm sure David knows who he is up against in Liam, and Liam starting this Mega Absol as well is probably the big green light for David to say, you know what, I think at least I need 2 Dreepies to go alongside here. But it's really unfortunate throwing away that fire energy. It's not going to be like a Blaziken build that we saw last game. It is just going to have to be finding these ways to get the energy out of the discard here. Would love to see an energy attachment, and there it is, but still, I mean, an Itchy Pollen and a Dream here. At least Mega Absol is weak to grass.
It's just so tough. You're left with 3 cards in your hand as Liam is going to respond with everything he could have dreamed of this turn. Zoroark EX ×2 put into play with the Janine Secret Art. That means this Mega Absol can attack on this turn, and while you cannot play item cards, you'll be able to strip that card of choosing from David's hand and leave him with just 2 cards, most of which will be undesirable.
This is a great play from Liam as well. Now, granted, there is going to be this Mega Absol taking a little bit of poison damage here, but the thing is, this is what Liam wants here. Wants to be able to utilize Monkey, Dory, and using that Adrenabrain to send these damage counters back. And Ethan, especially with the board that David has, this is actually going to be pretty useful here. So we'll be able to use Claw of Darkness. You can probably anticipate what's going down first.
Can discard the Dracloak, but it's going to be the Night Stretcher instead. Wants to get rid of that resource, allow Recon Directive to happen, but it will have to be a heavy reliance off this ability. If there is no help for David, this game is going to snowball quickly and painfully.
See what the Recon Directive gives him. Needs a lot more than just an unfair stamp to get things going. Big 2 cards.
Another no help.
Ooh, one more though, Ethan.
Got another help with Recon Directive. Got to put that into play. And it is a Lily's Determination. That's definitely a helpful card for David in this spot.
The question is, what do you do after you Lilies here? You have to find, are you just totally okay with just sending the Dracloak up and just understanding that another card's going to be ripped out of the hand at this point? But still, I mean, Liam does still have a ton of item cards in hand as well to try and start setting up some of these attackers for the end. Zoroark wasn't able to use Pokepad last turn, but you know that Liam is using both Zekrom and Reshiram to really stack on this damage here. Does at least get the Duskull ready to go, but David's going to need a lot of help.
Splitting the energy between both Dracloak just to prevent detriment if one of them are KO'd, to try and fire off a Phantom Dive, but already Liam has set his board up. He's put a lot of attacking pressure and has even gotten rid of some important resources in the process from David's board. 8 cards drawn, both Recon Directive abilities used. See what else David can find. There is another Pokepad, plus Duskull number 2, and this is a thick Dusclops line, plus Dusknoir, 3 Duskull, 2 Dusclops, 3 Duskull, 2 Dusclops, and no Dusknoir in this list, so actually opting to forego playing that card for a thicker Dusclops line.
Would rather just use the 5 damage counters all the way around the board, but it's really important to notice out, Ethan, I know we've been talking about Claw of Darkness, but it's also starting to stack up the damage on Liam's side to use that terminal period attack from Mega Absol. That is a knockout if your opposing Pokemon does have 6 damage counters. Liam's going to have a great time accelerating next turn, and I think David is just going to have to retreat this Dracloak using that with that 1 energy on it, and just understanding that we would rather have 2 Dracloaks rather than just a Dreepy that could evolve next turn.
I wonder if David actually will leave this Dracloak in the active spot to preserve both energy cards. Could be a huge detriment to retreat and then lose an energy card off both Pokemon with boss's orders. So accepting that one of these Dracloak will go down to prioritize Phantom Dive for the following turn. But as you mentioned, immediately we're going to see Monkey Dory hit the board and Adrenabrain go online as soon as this turn.
It feels like Dragapult is the big bad, but then you go one step further, and then Monkey Dory is truly the final boss after that, right? Monkey Dory allows for you to just kind of place all the damage counters around so you can get those big, big knockouts, and especially on Pokemon that have less damage, or less hit points, excuse me, like these Duskulls, they're prime targets to really get things going here. So 6 cards for Liam, but I think the biggest point of that turn is getting that Monkey Dory ready to go.
There is things that scare me in life, but that Monkey Dory is the most terrifying thing I've ever come across. Do not underestimate this Pokemon, ladies and gentlemen. It does absolute destruction and heals your board off every turn with that Adrenabrain ability. This turn has already begun for Liam, and there is still plenty to go. Discarding cards from the hand, filtering through the deck, and continuing to use this trade ability to draw even more cards.
I mean, nobody, no problem, right? Liam perfectly going to be able to set up the board. And I love the way that he is able to just put down Monkey Dory and then move some of these damage counters over. But this Mega Absol is essentially, Ethan, like a perfect sponge to be able to keep taking this poison damage, especially because David had such a slow start that he's not going to be able to utilize getting those sweet 3 prizes on a Mega Pokemon because it's going to take a little bit longer. But as we were talking about just a little bit earlier, targeting the resources here, the energies, the Night Stretchers on this Claw of Darkness. So David's not going to have too much to work with.
Now, Monkey Dory scares me. Don't get that wrong, ladies and gentlemen. But there has been a savior introduced in this most recent Chaos Rising, that Patrat. It is small, but it has a powerful ability, blocking the use of abilities that move damage counters from both players' Pokemon with that Watchful Eye. If David can attack with Phantom Dive and put that Pokemon into play, he would put himself out of range from a potential attack from Terminal Period onto this Absol. There's the attachment with the Night Stretcher, evolution with Dragapult EX. Now, can he find that important support Pokemon?
Does he even see it as well as the line here? But I like what you're going for, Ethan, and I think the Ultra Ball is going to certainly lead us to finding that Patrat. I think the sets that we're getting are getting smaller, but the thing is, it's very impactful Pokemon going into it as well. But we'll see what Dusclops is going to potentially be able to do.
Still plenty of turn left. Now, this Dusclops still important, Emily. It lines up a KO onto Mega Absol this turn with that Cursed Blast ability plus Phantom Dive. Would be able to deal enough damage to take it out, but I still have to imagine for David, when is the opportunity to put that Pokemon back into play, as having that as information for Liam really changes how he goes about early turns. If you know the importance of Monkey Dory is not there, these energy attachments could be going onto different Pokemon.
The thing is, as well, like you had mentioned, this Mega Absol could go down, but that is prime time for the End Zoroarks to start getting into the mix as well. Thanks to Ascended Heroes, we are able to find another perfect fit into the End's deck, and that is going to be that End Zekrom, which does allow for and Zoroark to go up just a little bit higher thanks to that Rampaging Thunder and the combination either to a Janine Secret Art, which has already been used, but also that Binding Mochi and a Pecharunt EX if he has it.
It looks like no Pecharunt EX in the deck for Liam. Really have to find space when you're playing things like Drapion and Purloin, so there was a cut somewhere. We will see this Recon Directive does find Unfair Stamp. Now, Liam has stabilized his board, so it won't be as impactful disruptively, but putting your opponent from 10 to 12 cards in hand down to 2, it still does matter in these spots, and we'll have to see if David decides to use that now or wait for a more opportune time to use it. You see him scratching his chin, possibly thinking about if it's go time, and it looks like it is.
I mean, when your opponent has more than, 5 cards in hand at that point, it's just uncomfortable, right? So Unfair Stamp, the perfect time to get things going. Does also still have that Dracloak on the bench as well to keep sifting through. It feels like kind of scary to only have just one Dragapult and one Dracloak, but thanks to Recon Directive, still will at least be able to sift through. But it's a matter of what Liam is going to be able to do after this turn, because we know that this Mega Absol is going to be going down.
Yeah, and an interesting choice as sequenced out. We saw David choose to not use Cursed Blast before this Unfair Stamp, Emily, which makes me think we may actually just use Phantom Dive this turn now that that Patrat is in play, shutting off Adrenabrain. You never want to give your opponent prize cards if it's going to make a big difference. And now that we're out of range of terminal period, this Dragapult EX seems a lot more threatening.
The question is, what do you do after if you are Liam? Because now you are threatening a couple of prizes here, thanks to a Phantom Dive on the following turn. Liam might have to turn his attention away from the Dragapult EX and start targeting down the Dusclops to prevent a full board wipe potentially on the next turn, allowing for David to take potentially all 6 prizes. But let's see what he was stamped into, Ethan. Does have a couple of cards to trade away.
That poison damage ticking up on Mega Absol means it's now in range on the bench to be KO'd from Phantom Dive the following turn. Liam can use these trade abilities to slowly build the hand back up. Discarding some unneeded pieces, does find one of the transformation tomes, but there's not a lot else going this hand. A Poképad means you can, if you so choose to, grab something like that and Zekrom, but then you've got to retreat the Mega Absol, and you'd rather have that in the active spot. There may not be a better option for Liam than this Claw of Darkness. Patrat really putting in a huge hole in Liam's plans on this turn.
It might just have to be the information that you get from the Claw of Darkness to see what David got unfair stamped into, being able to still target down some of those resources here. And there it is. See what's going on in the hand. I mean, the Pheasantipity is always a juicy target. The Ultra Ball as well.
Boss's Order sticks out right away. You want that Mega Absol on the bench to maximize your damage output from Phantom Dive. Liam's really going to think through if there's a better choice than that Boss's Orders, trying to see if there's maybe any already played so far. It looks like that will be the choice. So now David with one Recon Directive at his disposal. He's got Dawn in his hand. Does top deck Crispin for the turn. The way David has built this deck is actually not playing any Monkey Dory. So there's no darkness energy to use that Adrenabrain ability because of that Patrat in the deck. You've got to forego a powerful piece on your side to stop your opponent from using it as well.
I feel like both players have actually taken key pieces out of the decks that they know and love to kind of fit some tech in for the weekend. We know that Crustle is always looming around, and both of these Pokemon are big EX Pokemon that can't damage it as well. But David using that Crispin here, assumedly, of course, to the Drac Cloak there. And still, I mean, we'll be able to at least get another Dragapult set up here too. But the question is, will David be able to find another Boss's Orders?
David, this turn, will be able to go down to just 2 prize cards remaining and only have to get through one End Zoroark EX. That question still to be answered. Can still use Recon Directive. Does find Boss's Orders for the next turn, and that is a welcome sight for David's hand.
It definitely feels a lot better, especially when you know that you are at least going to be taking 3 prizes this turn and then even stacking more on as well. But still, that Patrat could be doing the most amount of work possible right now, even though it's just sitting on the bench.
As it stands, Phantom Dive is just 1 damage counter away from setting this End Zoroark up from a potential follow-up KO on the last turn, and you've always got to be careful at this stage of the game, playing around damage counters and playing around that Reshiram, that ends Reshiram with the powerful Rage. Now just debating if there's anything else to do to end the turn off. Ultra Ball in hand, choosing whether or not to play that. We do know Meowth EX is in the deck for David, not in the prize cards. Does play it just to fail and get rid of that Jamming Tower.
Now it is just about spreading the damage counters, like you had said, Ethan. Spreading all just on Monkey Dory here. That's going to be 4 prize cards for David, who was just at the beginning, it was looking a little bit rough. But now Liam going to be able to get back into it here. And honestly, I mean, Liam could take this knockout now. Like you had mentioned, not too many resources to do so. And only a couple Ends PP ups being used.
And a huge card must have overlooked it. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. There is a Dusknoir in this list, and it coming into play changes the whole scope of this endgame, now threatening a 1-hit KO turn onto End Zoroark EX. And you have to wonder here for Liam, with no Psyduck in his deck, how is he able to play around Dusknoir, wreaking havoc on the following turn?
And it's so unfortunate here too, because those transformation tomes, if there was a Psyduck in the deck, could have used the Pokepad to either get one out or find a way to shift some Pokemon around to get Psyduck ready to go. So might just have to actively hit into this Dragapult here and still, I mean, finding a way out. But like you had said, Ethan, the math is lining up that Dusknoir is going to finish the job next turn. I mean, can Liam find a boss's orders to take out the Dusknoir?
It would put you on odd prizes, and that just feels like a losing play. It may have to be another inclusion of the special red card. Is there any way to find one of those to disrupt? There is not. And now, if David can find himself just a Dragapult EX, that combined with the Curse Blast will be enough to take a KO. Let's see if he has the pieces. Did play the Ultra Ball previously. If he had held on to that, could have fetched out Dragapult EX. I wonder if he has any available.
At this point, has to use the thinning method here to get things going.
To play that Ultra Ball preemptively.
And using it to grab the Dusknoir, which you can grab off of the Pokepad, but instead of grabbing the Dragapult EX here, might have to be finding it through maybe another supporter, refreshing the hand. See what the Recon Directive here gives. I think there's a Pheasantipity in hand, Ethan, and a special red card as well.
There is a Pheasantipity. That is a huge liability. 2 cards and immediately finds the Dragapult EX. Phantom Dive plus Curse Blast means David will close out game number 1 after Liam's super strong start.
This was a great game from David, especially considering that Mega Absol was ripping consistency cards out of David's hand, ripping the energy and the resources that you really need to power up this Dragapult. And especially too, Ethan, the fact that David is not playing things like a Rose's Encouragement to refresh the energy out of the discard, not playing Blaziken EX as well, really has to kind of work with what he is given here and still able to find a way to make it through. Unfortunately, though, for Liam, a strong start just led into things kind of falling apart.
I want to bring Pablo in. Pablo, is this 2025? Are we seeing Dragapult Dusknoir without Monkey Dory?
I mean, I think so, and honestly, I think the Patrat is something that Liam was not expecting, had no idea was available to David, and that completely changed things around. So it's going to be very interesting in this game too, how Liam adapts to this Patrat, and knowing that his Monkey Doors will probably be shut down for the whole game. I really want to see how Liam adapts. I feel like we've seen him do really well this season. He's one of the best players currently in the game. If he's going to be able to figure something out, I'm really eager to see what he comes up with.
Yeah.
Pablo.
Yep. Yeah,
Pablo, in your expertise with the transformation tomes, what do you think that Liam is trying to go for here? Is there a chance that he can use it to get into something like a Drapion?
Yeah, for sure. That auto paralysis from Drapion could definitely slow things down for a single turn. Dragapult decks are not known for the switching capabilities, right? So a surprise Drapion at the key moment could be something that we see turn things around for him.
Thank you as always, Pablo, as Liam is getting right into it. And okay, we see you double Buddy Poffin. And with the rest of this hand not looking solid, going for the Purloin to initiate evil on the following turn.
This feels good for Liam, but I feel like it's even better for David on the other side. So David's going to be able to find a Buddy Poffin of his own. We'll take a look at the prize cards as our players are doing their opening search here. And I see a nice pink card in the bottom right for David, one that actually helped him really get the victory last game. But in terms for Liam, I mean, no Skorupi, not exactly what you want to see, and no Pheasantipity.
David taking a look at the deck, checking to see what is available, notably those energy cards, which could, at a moment's notice, go to be discarded. Thanks to Claw of Darkness, Badoo number 1 down into play, and we'll see Drapey join as well. What else does David have to back this up? Here's a Lily's Determination plus another Buddy Poffin. Excellent start as long as David can pivot into Badoo on this turn.
Does have the energy to attach as well and get into Badoo, so all things are looking good. But like we had talked about a little bit earlier, Ethan, it's really about using these energies very wisely here, because once they're used, they're not going to be able to come back so easily. But I see a Patrat hitting the bench quite early.
And just a full bench on turn 1 for David, going absolutely incredible in terms of setup. We'll see what most likely will be the third Drapey come down into play. And hasn't even played a supporter card yet. We've already got everything we want on this perfect turn. Couldn't have drawn it up better, and we've still got 8 cards to draw off this supporter.
You definitely want to see those Pokepads to get into the Dracloaks here. Liam not starting the Mega Absol last turn, Ethan's going to mean that David's going to be able to at least keep the hand that he's going to know and love off of these 8 cards here. But starting that Yveltal as well, I'm wondering if Liam's going to try and pivot and use Clutch on something like that Patrat, going to keep it trapped in the active.
It's tough. You'd love to do that, but you need to prioritize setting your board up first. You can't use both attacks on the Purloin and the Yveltal the same turn. There's the retreat from Duskull. Badu comes into the active spot. Itchy Pollen. It is springtime, ladies and gentlemen, but nice card there for Liam. Does have the Lily's Determination, and now will allow him to start to draw through the deck and see what he can put together.
Needs to find a couple of Zoroarks to get these trades going. This is what the deck lives for, right? Being able to keep sifting and sifting through. But still, Liam back against the wall right now. Doesn't have that Pheasantipity to work with either, thanks to a knockout. Does find a couple of ends PP ups as well, and we'll start to trade here, Ethan. We're going to be seeing a lot of cards in hand, but like we had mentioned, it's going to be that Invite Evil to get some end Zoroarks out of the deck to thin.
Just checking through to see what pieces are there and grabs that Mega Absol. Notices that as a key piece, even with the Patrat in play. This action starts over for David. Dracloak number 1 and the energy attachment coming down. Does have that Dawn and a Lily in the hand. He's going to opt to just use that Lily's Determination, it seems, before Recon Directive, especially getting those bonus 2 cards so valuable while you still have yet to take a prize card.
I think the big thing here for David is going to just be setup. I think Dawn is really kind of your great late game cincher when you're able to find your Dusknors or your Dusclops to really reach those max heights in terms of damage here. So David choosing consistency and still no knockouts taken. So that's 8 fresh cards for him here. Let's see if we can find those Pokepads. We'll be able to at least find one. Not too much else.
Can use this Recon Directive since he'd love to find Pokemon off of this. See what those 2 cards look like. At minimum, can grab a second Dracloak with that other Pokepad in hand. It is a Psychic Energy and a Boss. Wants to keep that energy around potentially for the following turn. So there is Pokepad to grab what will most likely be the second Dracloak. So we start the Recon Directive chain, slowly drawing cards and slowly building up Dragapult EX into play.
Things feel pretty good if you're David from here. Liam only does have one end Zoroark to really kind of work with right now, and that Mega Absol, like we had talked about, is in the hand, so might have to play just a little bit cautious and careful here. Won't be able to take both Dracloaks, and thanks to David's great hand, does at least have the Dragapult EX and a Crispin, I believe, for next turn to start using that Phantom Dive. But the question is, after the Itchy Pollen, will Liam respond with an explosion of a turn?
No Dusclops this turn. I'm sure David would have loved to see that card. So immediately Zoroark EX number 2 and number 3 being put into play as Drapion hits the discard pile with that first trade ability. Now that Mega Absol. What will follow? Is there a Dark Energy yet? Not sure we see. And does finally find it off the last card. That was the big piece missing outside of a supporter for Liam, as will be Janine's Secret Art. Can fully power up the end Zoroark EX on the bench. Now just needs a Pokemon to copy the attack with.
Does have the resources, I believe, in hand to already find it. But this was kind of what the Liam we didn't see last game, and this is the Liam that we are seeing now. Aggressive and attacking now, trying to get things going on. A couple of Pokepads, Ethan. Not the true issue here, but going to actually bench a Monkey Dory. I do believe it is just going to be Invite Evil again.
Just doesn't see value in attacking and KOing Badu in the active spot. Really trying to play with these transformation tomes to set up a big swing turn. But Badu locking that out of play kind of means there's 2 contrasting ideas going against each other. Whoever breaks the stalemate first may be the victor in this match if they can put together a powerful turn.
It's all about heading back on over to David's side now here too. We know from last turn that David does at least have the Dragapult EX and the energy requirement in hand, but I think it's more so along the lines of understanding that the attack from Liam is going to come in next turn, but wants to potentially start getting some of these Cursed Blasts off. Like you had mentioned, Ethan, the Cursed Blast and the Dusclops wasn't found last turn, so may want to try and get a couple of cheeky prize cards going further. Maybe, like you said, the first one to attack might be the one to be the victor.
Considering which supporter card to play will be Crispin. Accelerating energy out of the deck. Fire and a Psychic Energy. Has yet to use these two Recon Directive yet. Still looking for that Dusclops. As David seems more than content to take his foot off the pedal a little bit. Use Itchy Pollen, apply a bit of pressure, and on Liam's side, it feels like he, while not being able to play item cards, wants this Purloin to be KO'd to open that bench space up at some point.
Well, I think David is going about this the best he can, and as we talked about, David doesn't have too much energy recovery in his list, so just utilizing the setup and prioritizing that just a little bit more to really just be okay. And like you had said, Dusclops, I believe, is found finally.
There it is. Front and center off the last Recon Directive. See the attachment for turn, just splitting the energies up as much as possible, making these Dracloak as less of a priority target-wise as possible, as Itchy Pollen yet again will shut Liam off from using item cards as he continues to get rid of these unwanted item cards and Pokemon from the hand to filter this deck as much as possible for the late game.
It's so unfortunate too, Ethan, because we know that Liam is playing these transformation tomes that he's probably dying to use at this point to get some attackers ready to go, but getting a little bit aggressive at this point here might have to just be the clutch. And like we had talked about at the beginning of the game, this Patrat is not going anywhere. We don't attack with it. It's really just for that ability.
Not going anywhere, and not having Monkey Dory in deck for David means clutch is just that much more valuable. There's no way for David to punish the Yveltal on Liam's side. This Patrat can only do 10 damage with Bite, and while it can't be healed off, it will not win the war of attrition.
Seeing exactly how David wants to handle this here. No switch or anything like that to get this Patrat out. Certainly has, you know, at least have a plan for something like this. It feels like Retreat Lock is very common at this point. Might want to use something along the lines of this Dusknoir to try and get a prize card to work with here. But like we had talked about, this Dawn, great setup for finding your Pokemon. Feels a little bit better in the late game here, but still thinning the deck all the way down.
Grabbing those unneeded Pokemon for the time being, including the Dusknoir, which I'm sure is more than welcome of a sight for David. Now as we've entered this stalemate, this halt between both players, it will really come down to what Liam does on that final turn. If he could forever trap this that Patrat in the active spot, he would love to. 10 damage would be more than fine to take on the chin for Yveltal.
Well, here's the thing, Ethan, right? I mean, you talk about David playing this Patrat and taking it slow, right? I think David's probably regretting it at this point, right? I mean, Patrat's not going anywhere. And while granted, these Dracloaks are going to be set up with energy, Liam has all the time in the world to really get what he wants going here, and will also have all of items available to him next turn as well. Let's see how he wants to handle it. Is it really just going to be Bite for 10?
Are we seeing Patrat get involved, get in and biting the opponent? He's on his watchtower right there. It seems that he's got to get involved in every way possible. Bite, ladies and gentlemen, coming into play. As Yveltal takes 10 damage, slowly whittling away. Liam seems to have found an option in this matchup to strike first while removing that card. Now also opening up the ability to play item cards, and that's a huge advantage on this turn.
Like we had talked about, right? I mean, Liam at last turn was pitching away every item possible, but this Patrat's going to be sticking around for quite some time, like you had mentioned here. The big question is, are the transformation tomes going to get started? But unfortunately not for this turn. Patrat just going to stay in the active.
Using those trade abilities, drawing cards, will be another clutch. Recon Directive continued to use for David. The question continues to be, what pieces can you even find? It doesn't seem worth using that Dusknoir just to take an even trade on the Yveltal.
doesn't truly even help your prize trade either, right? I mean, you get one prize card, but there's no switch in the deck for David, so this Patrat is really just going to stick around and just keep stacking on damage. I mean, Watchful Eye is certainly helping here, but the thing is, what happens after this Patrat goes down?
Key piece to think about: how many Night Stretcher has David played so far? There are only 2 in the deck. Don't believe he is down any at this point. If he wants to continue to shut off Adrenabrain, he'll need to continuously use those resources to bring back that Pokemon. And we're seeing David potentially get involved with a 2 double play, essentially, trying to break this clutch lock while also placing just a little bit of damage on that Zoroark, which can matter in the late game.
A little damage goes a long way in this matchup, Ethan, and it feels like this End Zoroark is kind of being invited into the active to say, hey, let's go. It's time to get really things going. But the thing is, there's no End's Pokemon on the bench to really attack here. So does Liam want to take something like that Purloin out of play to try and get an attack going this turn? I think Liam is more than comfortable of just saying, you know what, this Patrat's got to stay in the active. But the question is there an energy to retreat this Zoroark and get back into it?
Air Balloon will work. That is found off the trade number 1. The deck getting very thin for Liam. Has got to be a bit more conservative with how much he's using these trait abilities pending the game goes the distance. Feltal's back in the active spot, ready to do what it does best. Use Clutch, trap this Patrat in the active, force David to have some sort of a response down the line.
This is the big thing here too, Ethan, is that once this Patrat goes down next turn, it's all go for all of these damage counters already on the side of Liam here. Does have 2 on the Yveltal and 4 on the Purloin, so perfect math can get things going, but it just feels like David is stuck into this corner of, I guess I'm just going to have to evolve up into my Dragapults at this point. Maybe just leaving 1 Dracloak just in case here, but that Dusknoir just ready to go, and still, I mean, David, nothing else to really do here aside from keeping this stall essentially going. Air Balloon was already used here, but still, I mean, can Liam find his way out of it with something like an End's Castle?
That is the only way to switch as it stands. Does have it in the hand already, and here we go, Emily. It is transformation time. Monkey Dory replaces that Purloin on the bench. It will put itself out of Phantom Dive range. End's Castle played down, allows the Pokemon to retreat out, and all of a sudden, Liam strikes first, takes the KO, and also prevents himself from being KO'd. Both of these Pokemon on the bench thanks to Phantom Dive. That 10 damage going the distance, but just not enough on that bench Monkey Dory.
It feels really good if you're Liam, finally able to put the missing piece of the puzzle, and then your entire board is unlocked. And like you had said, Ethan, it's going to take David utilizing Curse Blast and giving Liam a prize card so he goes on that even prize race to really get himself back into it potentially. It might just have to be David using the Dusknoir onto something like the Monkey Dory to prevent these damage counters from being tossed around, unless he wants to take something like a End Zoroark out of the picture.
And importantly, in this process of a slow back and forth clutch war, David burned a few of those boss's orders, which are important resources for later on in the game. We'll have to keep our eye on those counts to see if it comes back to bite him later on.
I think that's been the biggest thing that players are utilizing with this Dragapult, and it's that resource that you're talking about, right? And that's why so many players are playing something like Blaziken to replenish the energy as much as possible, but utilizing boss's orders to try and at least slow the game down for Liam just showed to no avail here. And now you see the power of Transformation Tome as well. I mean, it's going to be David Phantom Diving this turn, but that Monkey Dory, like you had mentioned, not going to go down. And he has 2 of them set up for Adrenabrain here. Could be leading into some of these Dracloaks getting knocked out next turn.
Difficult choice off the last Dracloak, whether or not to grab boss's orders or that Night Stretcher. Will be the Night Stretcher chosen, the Night Stretcher played. Now just deciding what to bring back, and it will be the Patrat yet again coming into play. You have to wonder, though, if you're only taking 1 prize this turn and your opponent can yet again use boss's orders, bring that Pokemon up, and recover your Yveltal to start using Clutch again. is that a favorable prize trade for you down the line?
And especially, the thing is, though, Ethan, I mean, time is a very important part of this game as well, and the time is ticking down here. If Liam were to go for something like that and using this clutch lock over and over and over again, that's a lot of time ticking away. And David is still 1-0 in this matchup so far. It might not be the brightest idea here, but David is going to launch this Phantom Dive. I mean, did at least reestablish the Pat Rat, but the question is, what do you do now?
Gotta keep note of resources for both players, with Liam being bench locked and being down 2 copies of those Transformation Tome. He's running out of ways to move Pokemon out of play. We're actually going to see Boss's Orders held in the hand, just using Phantom Dive on the active, so Yveltal is KO'd. 1 damage counter placed on the Monkey Dory. Patrat in play means these damage counters are going to stick. I'd like to see David start to build up damage onto this end Zoroark with the air balloon, and he does do that. Goes up to 6 damage counters. Liam now has an open bench space. What will he put into play to add a little bit of aggressive flavor? There is N. Zekrom finally making an appearance. With Liam being at 5 prize cards, what Pokemon does he want to try and go after this turn to get a KO?
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be one of these single prize Pokemon, Ethan, and it's always this juicy target of Dracloak because of what it does for the deck. Part of the reason why Dragapult is so strong is because you have that built-in draw engine thanks to Recon Directive, so being able to sift in. So a lot of players may think, well, I'm not taking 2 prize cards this turn. Still, taking out the engine is definitely where you want to be. Now, granted, Ethan, I will say, I mean, Dusknoir is also a great target, but still, I think Liam has a great plan around this Patrat, saying, you know what, I can't send my damage counters back, but I mean, you can't utilize anything too much either, otherwise I'm going to get way too far ahead thanks to Curse Blast.
Dragapult EX number 2 being evolved, put into play. As these players are neck and neck in game number 2. Monkey Dory now on the bench, lined up to be KO'd from a Phantom Dive, but David has to play around a card that Liam just took off the prizes that ends Reshiram with Powerful Rage. Thinking about Cursed Blast, is it time to use that ability? We'll be onto the active, lining it up for a Phantom Dive KO. Liam going down to 3 prize cards, extending his lead. Importantly, finding Pheasantipity and opening a bench space up for David for the Duskull.
And the good news is for David is that David was able to get the unfair stamp off of the prizes as well here. So it looks like David is targeting down at least the end Zoroark with the most amount of energy on it, and then going to try and utilize unfair stamp that Liam's not going to be able to draw into more energy. Because like you had talked about, Ethan, a lot of these resources are now kind of diminishing for both players at this point.
Such little cards left in deck for David. Unfair stamp being played. There are no Dracloak to back up this disruption and draw. We're down a Night Stretcher. Duskull hitting the discard pile. Dusknoir already in the discard pile. And that last boss's orders will be taken off the prize card. So that will be a big piece of relief and a big sigh, I'm sure, for David upon seeing that card be taken this turn.
It's not only that, right, but it's technically lining David up with him taking 3 prize cards this turn. It's lining him up for essentially checkmate if he's able to find all of the pieces together. Does play 2 Dawn in the list, so would be able to go up to that Dusclops, and still, like we had talked about, Liam is on this odd prize card, and David's going to be going down to 2. Let's see how exactly he wants to handle that. I mean, Lily's determination's pretty good. You get to see 6 cards, and honestly, Ethan, that deck is looking very small.
The resources are going to be very close for this endgame, Emily. That last Dusclops is at the top of David's prize cards. He's already played a Night Stretcher to bring back the Pat Rat on the previous turn. As things stand, there may not be a way to use another Dusknoir Curse Blast ability. May have to settle with Dusclops instead. Dragapult EX comes to the active. Phantom Dive is used. KO on this active and Zoroark EX. Choice now for David, and choosing to not take the KO on Monkey Dory, instead putting this end Zoroark in range of a Phantom Dive to close the game out, and it seems like David is threatening to win on the following turn.
I mean, it makes the most of sense, right? With Patrat on the bench, we know that those damage counters aren't going to be flying here. So instead of taking the most aggressive route, just stacking up the damage like Dragapult does best. Back on over to Liam. He did eat an unfair stamp last turn, so it is up to what he's going to be able to not only find off of the 2 cards, but the draw for turn and a couple of trades to go alongside with.
And this is where the unknown list dynamic comes into play. 3 Boss's Orders have already been played for David. Do you think your opponent has that 4th copy in their deck? If they do, that is a huge game changer. We'll see the Skorupi get discarded, Dark Energy brought back. End's PP up means we can attack with this fresh End Zoroark EX or this damaged one.
The big thing
is
here,
the choice going into this active, playing down the Watchtower. Monkey Dory plus energy, and here we go! Huge swing turn. Watchtower is going to shut off that Patrat's ability, making it so that Monkey Dory's Adrenabrain comes back online again, can use Adrenabrain number 1 to knock out the Badoo, double Adrenabrain to knock out this Duskull, and the Ends PP up as well to power up more Pokemon. Can Liam find a way to close this game out? That huge 2-prize swing providing so much value, making it so he's just 1 KO away from winning the game.
and utilizing Shred as well instead of Rampaging Thunder, because wouldn't be able to attack the next turn as well. But a very clutch find off of that Team Rocket's Watchtower, usually in decks for things like the Dunsparce EX or Dunsparce with Runaway Draw, but instead actually coming in clutch here for that Patrat here. No Dusclops or Duskull available, Ethan. What's the line at this point?
So much value off that stadium. Phantom Dive doesn't line up for a KO on any Pokemon now, since all of those damage counters were removed with the Monkey Dory's Adrenabrain. If you swing into this Pokemon, you open yourself up for Reshiram with powerful Rage to take a KO. And if you do nothing, Boss's Orders will close the game out. You have no hand disruption left either, so if your opponent can just have a Boss's Orders, it doesn't matter what you do this turn.
And even
if you can't shut off trade, they can still draw that many cards.
And even if you are able to use something like a special red card here, that's still 2 End Zoroarks to be able to trade away some cards and keep things going here. But it's too dangerous at this point, Ethan, to bench a Duskull just because there are 3 Monkey Dory now ready to use. So the Pheasantipity, 3 big cards.
Here we go. And that counter stadium, huge, means that that ability, the Watchful Eye, is back online. Monkey Dory can no longer be used and finds the special red card, does have that card in the list, and that's a huge find to put Liam down to a low hand size.
Question is, what do you do after? I mean, we'll have to retreat this End Zoroark in, or the Dragapult in the active as well, because it is very much in range of a Rampaging Thunder at this point. But I think David has done all that he can to really kind of secure at least maybe 1 more turn. And clock is ticking down, Ethan. It is looking very scary here.
What a back and forth game number 2. Dynamics at play for both of these competitors. Have to watch how many cards are left in deck as David is deciding if it now is the time and does use his ace in the hole, the special red card, forcing Liam to shuffle all of those cards from the hand to the bottom of the deck. What does he find? That may have been the key card. We'll have to see. David playing the Boss's Orders. That's the 4th and final copy. Choosing which Pokemon to bring up. Do you open a bench space up? Turn Pheasantipity on, it's just giving your opponent that many more cards? Or do you chase after this End Zoroark EX, which has an energy on it? I feel like that's got to be the best Pokemon to go after. It accomplishes 2 in 1, and that's better.
Going to be the Recon Directive for the last... Oh, there's only 3 cards left in deck. This is only 2 to go. I'm sure Liam also does at least have that on the radar as well. 3 cards, and it will just be the retreat, safeguarding this Dragapult EX, bringing a very healthy one into the active. And like you had pointed out, Ethan, it's a matter of finding this Ends Reshiram or a way to retreat at this point. Phantom Dive, I mean, David has aligned everything on board. Can Liam at least bring us close enough to a tie?
Plenty of ways to win the game. 2 of those Transformation Tome, Boss's Orders plus an energy, that would also get things done. We'll see what Liam can start things out with. has the boss's orders in hand. Here we go. Big 2 cards. Finds the secret box. Discards the hand. And if there's a Night Stretcher, Liam will be able to close this game out. Night Stretcher, boss's orders, and Zoroark EX with a few friends getting the job done and pushing us to game number 3.
The master of End Zoroark this season, Liam Haliburton, showing just what this deck can do, and especially